Hello and welcome. This is Alexa Linton with the Whole Horse Podcast. In this podcast, we explore all the ways that we as horse stewards can help with advocacy, well-being, and cutting-edge ways of working with horses. It's an exciting time, and I'm so glad you're here. Enjoy. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. This is the first ever edition of this podcast, The Whole Horse, and I'm very excited that you're here and listening in, and very excited to be embarking on something that I've dreamt about for a while now, which is connecting with horse people around the world and really having a big conversation about the ways that we want to move forward and, really opening up the conversation into areas that might feel uncomfortable or unexplored or, just against the grain, against the norm. And I really feel right now that this is the time. This is the time our horses are asking us to really look beyond what we've known and beyond what we've been taught and heard and indoctrinated into as horse people. I know for myself, I started very traditionally, and I grew up, riding hunter-jumper style. It was a very get-it-done kind of horsemanship. I was screamed at and really, judged in my horsemanship style. And that was just sort of what happened. It was like, that's how it went. That's how it was done. And I didn't realize until later that actually there was other ways. There was other ways to do things that I didn't actually need to be, sort of, for lack of a better term, chastised and abused throughout my younger years during my riding lessons, that it could actually be a pleasurable, fun, interesting, fascinating, relationship building experience. And at the time, the relationship with the horse was not a priority. What was a priority was that the horse obeyed what I said and did what I asked them to do with the least amount of resistance. And once resistance arose, there was punishments involved for said resistance. And that was kind of just the norm. And to be perfectly honest, that continues to be a lot of the norm. It's very, commonplace to even hear, coaches and judges and, people who are essentially like at the top of the game here, advocating, abuse and harm to horses as a way of getting them into a space of doing what we need them to do. And the realities of that is, yes, there are horses that there's resistance that comes up and things, but generally, as I've found out as an equine sport therapist over the last 12 years, that resistance is, based in other things. That resistance is based in the fact that their body is sore and incapable of performing the task that's required of them. That resistance is, from a space of saying, no, this is not working for me. This way of doing things is not working for me. I need something different. That resistance is coming from a space of wanting to have a choice in an arena, for lack of a better word, where horses haven't really, had that opportunity. The choice is do it or else, very often. And there's maybe a little bit of a spectrum in there otherwise. And so today, as we start out on this adventure together, and I hope you continue to join me, we look and get curious about the ways that we can start to shift this, both for ourselves and for others. I know for myself, I still fall into these traps. Oh my gosh, I have this beautiful mare of 14 years we've been together, 14 years. And I still lose my temper, and I still fall into the trap of wanting to punish when she brings up resistance and she brings up a no, and to get into those old style, dominant, submissive sort of dynamics in our relationship. It's so easy. It's such a pattern for me to drop back in there and to go into a space of doing harm. And and it's just the curiosity now is like, and has been, what does it look like to do it differently and still be effective? I'm not talking here about like just leaving your horse in a field forever and that's that. They want to engage, they want to be with us. But what do we need to do to actually form relationship where they're making a choice and they are actually engaging with us because they enjoy it? And because it's fun and interesting and stress relieving and relaxing for them to be there with us, right? If your horse had a choice whether they wanted to engage with you or not in that experience, think about it right now. What would they do? And if you're saying yes, they would engage, fabulous. That's amazing. Many horses, if given that choice, the relationship doesn't have the groundwork, the foundation to hold that up. And our horses often will say, no, I don't want to engage in this. No, it's not comfortable for me. No, I don't feel relaxed in this space. I'm not having fun. And that's the reality of this industry at this point is many horses that are not feeling the love, feeling the engagement, and are shut down, to be perfectly honest. And, on the other side of that, thankfully and wonderfully, there's these new frontiers arising in our horse industry. And, I happen to live in a really beautiful, amazing, magical place here on Vancouver Island in Canada. And to be blessed to have, literally within 20 minutes of me, incredible instructors and wells of knowledge about this next frontier. And whether that be, journeying into liberty training or straightness training or a combination of both of those, or positive reinforcement training, or even, jumping over the ocean a little bit to Elsa Sinclair and her work in Taming Wild, which is full passive training. And the question being like, if my horse had no restrictions, no, demands placed on them as far as, a halter and a bridle and like, you must do this, would they choose to engage? And, it's a question that still is one that I work with Diva every day. There's still many times where, there needs to be treats available, as a, way to engage her. And I think at this point that's fine. But I would love to move into a space where she's like, yes, let's do this thing. I feel great when we work together in this way. That's where I want to go. And that's where I want to go with this and this podcast and this conversation. And how can our horses feel well enough, gymnastically capable in their bodies to, not only engage, but engage in cool ways where, we're moving beyond, where we thought was possible. And so that's what I want to do. And that's what I want to share. And those are the people that I want to bring together here. So as you're listening today, if there's people that are popping into your mind in your communities that are speaking to this topic and are, really doing good work to build this foundation, I want to hear about them. I'm only in this little part of the world, and so I don't know about everybody yet. And this is very much my passion project. My work in the world is to, network and bring these people together and have this conversation, and have people tune in and maybe you learn something too. But I know for me, it's like, I want to learn this. Diva, when she came to me, I had a reading from an animal communicator, and at the time I was quite skeptical. Now I teach it, but at the time, very skeptical. I just started equine therapy school, and I was heading down this crazy rabbit hole of healing work and all this stuff that I had no idea about. And I remember she shared with me in the reading that Diva was here to, we were here together in this life to show what it meant to be best friends in different bodies. And since that time, I've held that intention to really show that. And Diva's 18 this year, so it's not like we're running out of time, but it's like, yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit of like a crunch, and so I want to learn, and I want to grow into, a horsewoman that I'm really proud of being. And if that translates into you learning something and taking something away, well, that's all the better. So really happy you're here today. I want to share a little bit today about a few things. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's a rainy Sunday out here on the island, and I just wanted to, start. I just wanted to begin. Sometimes you just need to start. And I wanted to speak to this idea of the whole horse to start, and why I use that terminology, and why that feels important to me. I truly believe that, wholeness is where relationships are their best. So what I mean by that is when a whole person meets with a whole horse, and that looking at all the aspects of that, a whole horse is a horse that feels comfortable and safe in their bodies. A whole horse is one that feels met in their emotional experience and heard. A whole horse is one that, energetically feels vibrant and vital and capable of, the crazy things, frankly, that we ask our horses to do with us. I mean, just imagine, it's like, here's this prey animal. We're essentially asking them to, have us enter their space in a way that's, so wildly, should be so wildly threatening for them, and yet them receiving that and accepting, with open arms or open hooves that concept, and entering into partnership with us. And then, a whole human, that one's a little trickier, I think. We come from a culture that, quite frankly, is a little bit broken. And I say a little bit, and I kind of mean a lot, but we come from a culture where, our feelings haven't always been honored, and we haven't always felt heard or understood. And especially if we tend towards the fringes, which you probably would guess that I do. And you might as well. If we tend to live a life that's a little outside the norm, a whole human is one where we can fully accept that about ourselves and feel comfortable and safe in that. And that's not always an easy task. I'm struggling with it even today. But my relationship with horses, amazingly, has been one of the things that's changed that for me in a big way. And in particular, Diva, because every day she asks me to show up as more and more of myself, and in more and more integrity and more resonance, and more attuned to who I am. And so, if I take that offer and that challenge, it grows me. It grows me up into that whole being, and that being that can accept herself and can move forward and do crazy stuff like this, and talk to all of you and share this work, and be open to creativity, and be deeply conscious of this wild human experience, and of my emotions and all the all the nuance and magic that is being a human, and in particular being a human at this time, and in particular as well being a human that has the privilege, and let me say it is a privilege to be in partnership and spending time with horses. That has really come clear to me in the last little while, is how much of a privilege that truly is. And the advantages, the unearned advantages that have got me to the place that I am now, and the responsibility in that as well, to share and to be open with who I am, how I got here, and to bring those other amazing people that are walking a similar walk, or walking, in a space of wanting to be advocates, wanting to help. I don't really like that word, but wanting to open up these pathways, not only for the liberation of our horses and the change in their world, but also for ourselves. And I think that's really been driven home the last couple of days. This is not just a journey to try to rescue horses and save them, and this is a journey of self-liberation as well, and self-advocacy, and learning to ask for what we need, and realizing we have the choice to say yes or no, and stepping into a space of feeling heard in that. All of those things can be potential in our learning with our horses, and they are representative of power, right? And a kind of a beautiful kind of power. And so if we can watch them and experience them, and be grateful for them, and let go of the feeling that it's our right to ride and to do what we want with them because we own them, or we bought them, or we do this or we do that, I invite you now to let that go. And I share that because this podcast, as you continue to listen, will go more into that, because it has to. We are not owners. We can't be owners of these amazing animals. We can't. We can only be stewards. And as a steward, as a real steward to these animals, what that looks like is being really humble, and knowing that we need to offer them a choice. And in that choice, they may say no. And in that no, we can make other choices. And that hopefully will be a curiosity choice. I choose to be curious about why this is not going as I'd wanted. And it doesn't mean that we don't have timing and assertiveness, but it means that we step out of a space of punishment in our training and our work with our horses. and acknowledge that they have feelings and emotions, and that things are going to come up. Yeah, that things are going to come up, and they're going to need our support. And it's not about them being bad, not about them being a bad horse or misbehaving. They're just trying to communicate with us. And, part of that stewardship, a part of that partnership is learning each other's language and really starting to understand what's happening on that other side. We've tried to indoctrinate our horses into our human world for a very long time, and it's worked to a point, I suppose, with much harm done. And so now, how do we give back by learning their language and learning how they share and learning to listen? So that is my hope here. Over this time together, sometimes we'll be really esoteric and out there, and other times we will be, right in the middle of, a left brain unpacking of, some sort of technique or system, and it'll be all over the map. But exploring this idea of what it means to come into a space of wholeness with our horses. And that might look like, learning about equine dentistry or hooves, or, a training method that we hadn't learned about. And maybe we talk to a veterinarian or a body worker, an animal communicator, all these pieces. There's just so many ways. It's so freaking cool. I can't say enough about this, this fun, the fun edges of all of this and the exploration of what's possible. And yeah, that's really what I want to share today. It's a short and sweet podcast, and that's okay. And we, we'll continue this adventure over hopefully the next number of years, if at all possible. There's lots to do, lots to open up into, and it's exciting. It's exciting times. The horses are ready to show us this new way of doing things, and to open up our minds a little bit. In an industry that has been fairly closed for a long time. There's been new bits and pieces in there, but there are some pretty big elephants in the room that we need to discuss, and without judgment. It's like let's look at this stuff. Let's look behind the curtains and shed some light in to all these topics, because our horses, they've suffered. They've suffered over the years, and they are fucking saints. And forgiving, forgiving is anything, but they're getting tired of that. And there's many that are needing something really different to be able to excel and move forward, and needing us to, open up a little bit to some different possibilities from what we've had. It's time. Okay, thanks for joining me for this very first little episode, and I can't wait to see you soon. I'm really excited to be putting together a powerful guest list for you, and there's Riley back there, a little scratch. And I know you're going to love it. And as I said earlier, if you have any suggestions, just email alexa@alexalinton.com and, message me with a name and some contact information of the person that you're thinking, and I'll do my darndest to get them on here and have a conversation. Yeah, I'm excited. All right. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you very soon. Bye.